All right, we're live here, waiting for Ryan Howard. I'm CJ Handren, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Diamond Kinetics, and really excited to spend some time talking with Ryan Howard tonight. So we'll just give it a minute or two. We should have Ryan here joining any second. Thanks for everybody who's joining. Looking forward to talking some baseball tonight with Ryan. So my eye here on him joining, and we'll get it going. And I'm CJ Handren. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Diamond Kinetics. So super excited to have everybody with us tonight and talk a little baseball with Ryan Howard. Let's see if we can get him in here shortly. For those that are just joining, I'm CJ Handren. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Diamond Kinetics, and we're super excited tonight to spend some time with Ryan Howard. So for those of you who are joining, we definitely encourage you to try to ask some questions. Use the question box there so we can try to keep up, and we'll certainly try to answer as many as we can. We should have Ryan here any minute. So for those of you just joining, I'm CJ Handren. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Diamond Kinetics, and super excited to. There we go. I see Ryan just joined, so we'll see if we can get him in here with me. Hang on one second. There we go. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. I'm super excited about this one. Our good friend Ryan Howard. So we're just getting him queued up here, and we'll get going. That's awesome. Awesome to see so many people join in. And there he is.
Hey. Well, there he is. What's going on? See, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Dude, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm super excited to have you here. We're going to talk a little baseball tonight. So for everybody that's just joining us now, I'm CJ Handren. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Diamond Kinetics. Could not be more excited to have our good friend and partner and resume that speaks for himself, Ryan Howard, joining us. So I got to do it, man. I got to rattle off the resume for everybody and give some of the quick hits, man. So 13 years in the big leagues, 2005 National League Rookie of the Year, 2006 National League MVP, 2008 World Champion. I'm sure that's the biggest one on the resume there for you. 3-time All-Star, Home Run Derby champ. And I was looking today at the all-time home run list, man, and number 69 on the all-time home run list. And it's gotta feel awesome for you. I looked at some of the names that are around you on both sides of that list, and it's, we're talking about Bench and Dwight Evans and Carlton Fisk and DiMaggio and Barra, right? So pretty rarefied air, man, in baseball, and had an amazing career, and we're excited to talk some baseball with you tonight. A great friend and partner at Diamond Kinetics, and somebody who's really kind of gotten really excited about technology and what it can do, kind of in and around the game going forward. So big welcome to you. And for all those that are joining us, please, ask some questions, use that question box, and we're going to do the best we can to add and answer as many of the questions as we can. So Ryan, big welcome from me. Thanks.
Man, no, I appreciate that. That was awesome. That was an amazing intro right there. Thank you.
Well, listen, man, we'll dive in here. We're going to bounce around a little bit, and we'll talk some tech, and we'll talk MLB. But let's start with, man, let's talk about where we all are right now, right? So, we've spent a lot of weeks at home. So tell us what life's like right now for you guys. What have you been doing to stay busy? What any new hobbies? What's been going on in the Howard house?
Man, the Howard house is not lacking for energy one bit. I got my 3 girls, 5, 3, and the other one is the baby is actually 8 months today. So a lot of energy floating around the house. Definitely been working on the grilling skills. Been doing a lot of grilling. But other than that, man, it's been good. Just enjoying time with the family. It's unprecedented times that we live in right now, kind of some craziness going on, but just trying to make the best of it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we're all just sort of coming up with some new things to do and different things to stay
Yeah.
busy. So, you mentioned being a dad, right? And the dad of the three little girls. You got your son too, who we've spent a good bit of time talking about, and is now is on into his collegiate career. So, tell me a little bit about what this has been like for him, right? I mean, we talk about all of those kids that have been playing, whether we saw today that unfortunately little league season doesn't look like it's going to go on, and so everybody at every level is having I think a hard time with the fact that we're not getting to play baseball. But what you're kind of living this with your son too. So tell me kind of what that's been like for him, and what kind of stuff you guys are doing and talking about trying to work through it.
Yeah, I think it's the same for every kid right now who would normally be out playing baseball. I mean, it's definitely tough because you're so used to at this time being out there playing ball. So now that it's kind of just taken away due to the virus, it's been really, really tough. But for him, luckily, like we've got a net. He'll go out and go take some swings and whatnot in the backyard, or we'll play some catch. Just continuing to try to keep his arms strong, keep working out, and continuing to hit. I mean, I think, if kids have the opportunity, if they've got a net or a cage at home, to continue to try to hone their skills in, just because you're not playing right now, it's your body kind of gets in this mode where it knows that it's supposed to be doing something. So it's easy to really get out of that mode really quick and kind of go back into an off season kind of rest and relaxation phase. So it's very important for the kids to continue to try to hone their skills if they have the ability to, if they have a cage or a tee or whatnot at home, and continue to try to do workouts and any kind of baseball stuff that they can.
Is there any anything you think of like in a window like this? And maybe I think about it kind of, it's almost like we're having this like crazy extended off season, right?
Yeah.
And so when you were working through the off seasons, right? I mean, you think about windows of time like this, they open up doors to like their opportunities, right? To work on some things. So as you think about that, like, is it an opportunity that you see, to work on anything new, or there are aspects of like, kind of preparation that you think about that, that you give some advice on, like, hey, if we are kind of stuck in this world that we're in right now, like, where are some of those opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that opportunity. I think even if you're playing, there's still opportunity. That's why we have practice. I mean, and this is just that time for some extended practice to continue to try to hone in on your skills and hone in on your abilities. So, obviously for hitters, it's like if you're working on different things, if you're trying to work on your swing path, working away or working middle or working in, this is the time to continue to try to do that to the best of your ability, by working a lot of tee or trying to get some flips if you have a cage at home. Pitchers, same thing, continuing to throw, continuing to do your workouts. I can guarantee you right now, these major league guys are still trying to keep their bodies going because, like I said before, you get in this phase. Once you hit February, your body knows that, hey, I'm supposed to be doing something every single day and playing baseball every single day. So I know for a lot of guys, it can be very easy to where when you're not running out there day after day, night after night playing, your body will automatically look to go and say, hey, well, I guess since we're not doing anything, it must be the off season, and it'll be quick to shut down, and then you have to start everything back over. So it's not letting your body go back to square one and just continuing to do workouts or run or do whatever you need to do to stay active so that, if and when things do come back, you're ready to go.
Yeah, almost kind of faking your body out a little bit to
Yeah,
not feel
totally.
like you're settling into the off season. So,
Yeah, totally.
it's interesting you bring that up, right? Like, so, last season, we had this opportunity to, spend some time with you at a few different amateur events. We spent some time at a Perfect Game event, and then, spent a good bit of time with USA Baseball and their prospect development pipeline league, which, unfortunately also got announced today that they're not going to be able to do it again this year and kind of rebound with it next year. But, you were a team captain in that event alongside, Derek Jeter and Chipper Jones and Barry Larkin. And it was a new event. It was a pretty neat experience. And I'm just kind of curious, like, what were some of the takeaways you had kind of getting to be around, that kind of upcoming next generation, right? Like a lot of the guys that you spent some time with there, we're going to have a different kind of draft this year, but they're going to be a part of that, right?
Right.
Ways. So, anything stand out to you, anything you can share about kind of getting to spend some time with that next generation?
Yeah, I think it's always cool kind of being in a situation like that because it's kind of, as I said before, those kids are the creme de la creme. Those kids are the ones that are being, handpicked to go out number one in that situation to represent the United States of America. But for those kids and for me, just having the opportunity to be there and kind of share the moment in them, number one, being asked by USA Baseball is one of the ultimate honors. To be recognized and have a team named after me or whatnot. But I really just enjoyed the time with the guys out there. Just really kind of being the guy that, hey, if you have questions, come ask me some questions and whatever it is you want to learn. What was really cool was how I forget his name, but one of the pitchers was like really into the Diamond Kinetics ball and trying to learn more about the ball and what it was capable of doing and how some of the kids were talking about the Diamond Kinetics tech out there and how they could try to look to utilize it to help make themselves better. But the future of baseball from watching those kids is pretty bright. A lot of talent out there, a lot of talent. I think my team won, and I think overall, I think we tied. I think it was either with Jeter's team overall, or it might have been Chipper's team. So I'll take it. I'll take
it. That's awesome. I thought I thought some of the stuff that one of the cool opportunities about that event was like those guys got an opportunity to get advice from you, right? And you shared some pretty awesome stuff with them. So like for the folks that we have listened, for those that are just joining, like thanks so much for joining us. I'm CJ Handren, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Diamond Kinetics. Privilege and honor to get to spend some time talking baseball and tech with Ryan Howard tonight. What kind of advice do you give to high school players, who want to get to that next level, right? And some of that is advice about how they're preparing, how they're grinding, how they're working. Some of it is how technology is starting to kind of fit into this world. So what are some of the things that you shared with them that maybe we could share with everybody else?
Yeah, man. I mean, the first thing for me that I always tell guys is you got to have fun. You got to make sure you're having fun because the minute it starts to become work and it's not fun anymore, it's not going to last. So you got to make sure you're enjoying yourself and enjoying your time out there with teammates, soaking it up, soaking it in. And then the next thing is obviously you're going to get your work. You got to go out there, put your work in, and grind it out. I think the biggest thing that I feel I tell guys is your mindset. Like your mindset is ultimately I ask them the question of saying, hey, how many of you guys want to play college ball, or how many of you guys want to play in the big leagues? And everybody raises their hand. And I said, well, your big leagues is right here, right now. So wherever you are, whatever level it is, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's USA, whether it's minor league ball, and pro ball, all that good stuff, that is your big leagues. So you see yourself, you carry yourself as a big leaguer through those levels, and you look to try to gain and create success so that when you get to the big leagues and you have success in the big leagues, and they say, man, are you shocked or surprised at what you've been able to accomplish? Like, no, man, I've been doing this since I was 17. I've been in the big league since I was 17 from a mental standpoint. And then obviously when you can create that mindset, create that mental attitude, then your work ethic is going to start to take over and work off into that same kind of mindset of, okay, I need to go and prepare. You look at some of the guys that are out there, Mike Trout in today's game. You look at those guys. It looks easy for Mike Trout, but look at the preparation and the work that a guy like a Mike Trout does. in the off season, behind the scenes, when people aren't looking. Like it's taking the extra swings. It's not going and hanging out with your friends all the time. Or even if you do want to go hang out with your friends, it's saying, hey, I'll catch up with you guys later. I got to go get these swings in, or I got to get this lift in, or I got to go throw a quick bullpen, and I'll catch up with you guys after I get finished. It's prioritizing, making sacrifices. And then if you want to get to the show and get to the big leagues or get to that college level, in anything you do, whether it's baseball or just in life at times, you're going to have to make sacrifices.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And we had the opportunity to do this on Tuesday night with Sean Casey, and like there's just some similar themes there, right? Like, yeah, and it's that preparation and that mental side of everything, kind of getting in the right mindset. So, we were talking about USA Baseball here a little bit, and it's a good opportunity for me to share. And actually, we just announced this today as Diamond Connects, and we've extended our as we've been doing a lot of work around play at home, right? And so we're trying to find opportunities for baseball to continue at home in this environment that we're in. We've been just so excited about the way partners have rallied around that. And, USA Baseball has kind of come over the top and extended our 3-month free subscription into 6 months. And so that's something that we're going to continue now until the middle of May. And so, certainly for anybody interested in that, you can learn more about all of that on our website, diamondconnects.com. But, USA Baseball has been a great partner for Diamond Connects. It was a as you mentioned, that honor and opportunity to be involved with that last year. So, let's dig in maybe a little bit on the tech side of things, because then we'll come back to something that you actually said a little while ago about kind of, working on, working in, working middle, working away. And we can talk about, some of the things that frankly, you've helped us develop at DK, which is one of the cool things about this, right? Like, you've actually had this opportunity to, be under the hood and be helpful for us and spend time with our dev team and talking about, really understanding how we help build things that can be really usable for players and coaches. So, you're obviously really familiar with our technology, both on the ball side and the bat side of things. And for those that aren't, our swing tracker sensor, just a tiny little bat sensor that can actually go, in the bat or on the bat. And we have our smart ball technology. And one of the things I thought was pretty cool was, right as we were getting to know you, the first thing you did was call your folks at Marucci and say, hey, make one of my bats ready to be able to put that sensor in, because I want to give it a run. I want to see what it's all about. I want to use it with my son. So, what are some of the ways that, and not even just thinking about Diamond Connects, but like, what are some of the ways that you started to see how technology can be used and how players can take advantage of, this kind of information that maybe, back as you were coming up and playing and I was growing up and playing like that we didn't have access to?
Well, I think it's the instant gratification that you can get, the instant output that you get from some of the new tech and being able to further kind of utilize it. Like, obviously, me growing up, we didn't have the kind of technological advances that they have today. So, swings were kind of taught in a certain aspect, but now it's getting to really kind of hone in and better understand your swing and understand what your swing does, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how you're able to try to generate power, your bat speed, your exit velo, all that kind of stuff. But it's also trying to understand, how do I get to the angle to best create bat speed and create that launch angle without trying to, overcompensate one way or the other.
Yeah. So, maybe let's talk through that a little bit, and we'll talk through it. You're obviously familiar with this, but I'll show it just, for those that may be not as familiar. So, one of the things that we do is what's called a swing fingerprint, right? And it's our ability, with what we can do with our bat sensor technology to actually really, on a very unique, personalized basis, give a hitter a view of their hot and cold zones and their strengths and weaknesses, right? And so, I guess, with that idea in mind, right, of hot cold zones, like, how important is that, right? And how much do you feel like, as you were developing as a hitter, like, that you had an awareness and an understanding of your strengths and weaknesses and your hot cold zones?
It definitely wasn't what that is right there. That was just, from the days of kind of growing up, you just kind of try to figure it out. And, it was from just playing. But now during the practice mode, you can actually see. But again, it's working on some of those cold zones to try to get them to that lukewarm to hot, to where you're able to turn that weakness into a strength, or make that weakness strong enough to where it's not a weakness anymore, to where maybe I may not be able to fully connect the way I want to, but with 2 strikes, maybe I'm fouling that pitch off, and now all of a sudden they're trying to come back into my hot zone, and they make a mistake, and I make them pay for it. So I think by having that kind of understanding, again, it can go back to as detailed as you want it to be, to where you're trying to figure out, okay, when I'm swinging at this ball low and away, why am I having so much trouble with this pitch? Why is it that, if my swing, my bat speed is X amount slower than what it normally is, or my angle is this and that. And that's where you can kind of go back and dissect it by, again, looking at your angle, looking at where you're coming in and trying to come and make contact. Obviously, the depth of the pitch, and sometimes you just got to tip your hat, but really trying to understand what it is that you're able to do with the bat, and having the best kind of bat control that you possibly can, and working through it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed that up so well, right? And we talk about it, that the even being able to do this, it's not that because then everything can turn bright red and everything can be a hot zone, right? Like,
right.
But what you're trying to do is improve those areas that you may struggle in, or that may be a weakness, whether it's your bat path or the bat speed that you can create there, and just try to minimize those areas as best you can, so that you can try to drive people into the area where you can do more damage, right? So
right.
All right, so what was Ryan Howard's hot zones? What were you hunting? What were you looking for when you were?
I mean, man, early on, like I lived away. I was always one of those guys who my coaches told me to stand back away, like off the plate, because my arms were so long, and then I used a longer bat, and so I always tried to make everything be away. And so anything away, I could shoot away. Anything middle was still, I could go middle or go away. And anything kind of middle in, I could go middle with the ball. Because I didn't really like to try to pull the ball, because I'd hit it with a lot of topspin a lot of the times. But for me, I just really like to try to work everything away and get my arms extended as much as possible.
Yeah. So this is a hard question to ask, man, because there's probably a bunch of them, right? But do you have a moment that sticks with you, right? Like, I feel like you talk to a lot of guys, and there's that one that they remember, right? Like it just, that either it was the moment and the situation, or it was you just buried a ball, you squared it up in a way that you're like, that was the one. Like, do you have a big league moment or two that you remember where it's like, that was the one, like,
oh man. Yeah, I mean, there was one off of Mike Musina. It was 2006. We're playing Citizens Bank Park against the Yankees, and Mike made a pitch, and I just hit it flush. Like, it was to the point to where, it's that one, you hit it so flush on the barrel, you don't even feel it off the bat, and it went into the third deck in Citizens Bank Park, and nobody had ever been to the third deck before. Barry had hit one off the facing of the third deck, which that ball kind of, I felt like it started at my head and then just kept going up. So he had the right trajectory on it, but yeah, that was definitely one of those.
I just saw JD that's on my team comment. He's pretty sure it's just every game versus the Braves. He's a Braves killer. So now you're living in Atlanta now. So
yeah.
All right. So was there a cold zone? Was there a spot that, like?
Man, yeah, there was a bunch of cold zones, man. I had a bunch of strikeouts. I mean, but it's a part of the game. Yeah. Again, the Diamond Kinetics wasn't out early enough for me, man. But But it was one of those things to where, again, sometimes you got to tip your hat to the pitchers, but it's trying to, again, like I said, it's trying to better kind of understand what your strengths and your weaknesses are.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, um, you mentioned your bat, right? So, what size bat did you swing?
I swung a 35-inch, 34-ounce bat.
35, 34. So,
Yeah. So for today's standards, that's like a larger.
yeah,
That's a larger bat. I mean, obviously you hear stories about the old school guys like the 60s and 70s and 30s and 40s and stuff and 50s swinging like 40-ounce bats. But it's interesting because it's all about how the bat is shaped, right? So guys used to swing a 40-ounce bat, but the handle was a thicker handle, so it made the bat more um, balanced so
yeah,
that you could get it through. And so once you just got it going, you let that 40 ounces just take over and do what it does. So for me, as we kind of talk about bat speed, with my bat being 34 ounces and the way that I had it, because I had a slim handle with a tapered kind of knob, flared knob. So I had a lot of whip in my bat. So I didn't have to try to swing it hard. Matter of fact, I had to do the opposite. I had to swing less with my bat to try to generate more. And that's where I would get in trouble, was when I would try to swing it or try to muscle it as opposed to getting it going. And actually, my teammates, some of the smaller guys on the team, Jimmy Rollins, Shane Victorino, Carlos Ruiz, every once in a while, like if they were feeling kind of off with their bat, would actually use one of my bats because it would get them to kind of slow themselves down to where they're not trying to muscle it, but just get the bat going and let the momentum of the bat do what it does.
yeah. I mean, you nailed it all right there, right? Like, you're trying to generate bat speed by by rotation too, right? So you're getting ahead of the bat, moving as you rotate. And it's interesting you bring the word momentum up, right? Because it's something that's a big deal for us, right? We actually track like what's called impact momentum, and that is really this idea of like understanding the bat that's in your hand, right? Like we always joke, right? Like, bat speed is obviously really important, right? But you can swing a wiffle ball bat really fast,
right?
But it's really light. If you hit a baseball, that's coming at you, it's not going to go that far, right? You can swing tree trunk that you can't swing fast enough. And so it's finding that balance point too. It's actually that's a cool story that guys would take take the bat and try to slow themselves down so they can speed back up.
Yeah, I used to tell Jimmy all the time when he was getting into a little kind of funk with his bat or going too quick. I say, Jay, man, hey, look, bro, you can't take the family out and you can't drive the sports car all the time. Sometimes you got to pick up the SUV, take the family for a little ride in the SUV. And he'd go up there, and then all of a sudden you would watch him take a swing, and it was like he didn't really even swing, and you just see the ball just take off, and it just kind of like hit another gear in the air. And it was because he was able to get the bat going and just got it moving, because that was his whole focus was, I just need to get this bat going and not try to muscle it.
Yeah, that's that's cool, man. It's really cool. So, you brought something up there that I think is interesting. You and I've talked about this a little bit, like, kind of talking about what your hands do and talking about bat path, man. So tell us a little bit about that, right? How did you think about your hands? Like, how did you think about bat path when you were playing?
So for me, it was always about trying to just keep my hands inside of everything. I would always kind of challenge myself if I was working on the tee, if I was trying to work in, pulling the tee even more, trying to get as close as I could to the tee, and just try to focus on pulling my hands in as much as I possibly could without trying to use my body or fly open. The toughest thing as a hitter at times is really trusting yourself, because we feel like, oh, we've got to get geared up or we got to get that little bit extra, where instead it was just kind of trusting where you're going to be and where your hands will get to, and trusting that they're going to get to that position when you want them to get there, instead of trying to force them to get there. So for me, it was really focusing on just trying to let my hands go and let my hands get and stay inside the ball.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's I just love being able to get in your head a little bit and you know, guys who, you know, elite level hitters. So let's shift the table a little bit, right? Like, you're a hitter, right? But you know, as a hitter, you got to study pitching and you know, something that you know, we've spent a lot of time talking about, and it's funny, like, as you got involved as a partner with us, like, we think around hitting, right? But we've talked a ton around pitching. We've talked around about smart balls and things like that too. But you know, help us kind of understand how you think about, like, what pitchers are trying to do to deceive you, you know, how you're trying to understand what the pitcher's doing, what they're trying to do with the ball. And we talk about things like, you know, now being able to measure spin rate and be able to understand what's going into how pitchers make that ball move. But tell us a little bit about how you thought about that, and in some respects, how you're starting to see how technology is changing that too, because I think you are on all different levels.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first and foremost, the at bat starts, you know, before you ever step out in the on deck circle. So, you know, when you're two batters in the hole or you're in the hole, you know, you're watching the situation as it unfolds. Obviously, having played in the major leagues, it's a little bit different because you can get scouting reports on pitchers. You can watch more video on pitchers at different levels. You don't necessarily have that ability, you know, maybe from the high school or collegiate level or whatnot. But that being said, in game, you know, if you're in high school or college and you're playing somebody that you've never really played before, it's as simple as just paying attention to the game, paying attention to the situation as it unfolds, and kind of playing situations in your mind to where if you're hitting fourth and you're like, all right, if my leadoff hitter gets on and I know there's a good chance he's probably going to steal, or this guy does get into scoring position, I'm going to watch and see what he does to the hitters in front of me, because that's going to show me how he pitches with a person on or pitches with nobody on. You know, it could be a completely different animal as to where if you got a runner in scoring position on second base or third base, less than 2 outs, you're probably going to see a lot of off speed, or they're going to mess with you or try not to get beat. But if you're leading off an inning or something like that, you may be more prone to see fastballs because they want to attack you and try to, you know, get you out in that situation. So it's really understanding, looking and studying and seeing as the situations develop in front of you, and understand, okay, if there's a runner on second again, like I said, right? And you got let's say runners on first and second, and the guy in front of you just got on, but he threw that guy maybe 3 or 4 curveballs. Well, as he threw those curveballs, how many legitimate strikes did he throw for curveballs, and how many of those curveballs did your teammate swing at? You know, so now if I'm watching a guy who can't necessarily get his curveball over for a strike, then I could look to potentially eliminate the curveball. So if he throws it to me, I don't necessarily have to go after it. I want to see if it's going to be a strike or if he's still struggling with it. And if he's struggling with it, I just completely eliminate that now, to where if you've got a fastball and well, everybody's got fastball, but if you got like a changeup or some other kind of secondary pitch, I can put my focus now between your fastball, changeup, and maybe if you have a slider, have a slider. But I can eliminate your curveball until you show me you can throw it for a strike.
So good, man. I think that the takeaway I have from that is, like, if people understand, like, so much thought goes into it, right? I mean, like, you know, it is, I mean, there's always this element of sort of see ball, hit ball, right? But there's so much thinking and strategy. And that's part of what makes baseball like such an awesome and beautiful game, right? Is like, it's a cat and mouse game all the time. But, like, you know, just hearing you talk about, like, everything you're picking up and taking in to try to figure out what's coming and to kind of break that code, it's awesome, man. So I'm gonna try to work in a few of the questions that we've had pop up here. So had somebody say, you know, who's the toughest pitcher you ever faced?
Oh man, it's tough to say, man. There's the usual suspects. I mean, you gotta throw Scherzer in there. That dude is just a straight pit bull, man. Another Missouri guy too. Actually didn't play against each other, but went to high schools that would play against each other. So, happy to see another Missouri guy have some success. But not fun facing him. It was not. It was not fun facing him. He's just got like a different release. He's got a different mentality, man. I mean, he is out there. He is just a competitor who just and you can love and respect that because he's that dude that's just he's gonna come at you. He's just gonna execute pitches. It's kind of like a little shot put. It's like he kind of short arm shot puts it there, and then the ball just it just gets on you. It just hits another gear in the middle of the air. So if I had to pick right now, I would say probably Scherzer.
That's good. Can't argue that, right?
Yeah, that's not a bad guy. That's not a bad one to go with.
All right, a couple more questions rolling in here, and then I'll wrap us up with a couple things because I want to be respectful of your time here. So I got one that just came in from my 10-year-old actually, who's watching in the other room. She wants to know what's your favorite Phillies moment of all time?
Oh man, favorite Phillies moment. I mean, it's so hard to choose. I mean, obviously winning a World Series is what you play the game for. But there's just so many. I mean, I think right there it has to be, your first major league at bat. Even though it didn't necessarily go the way I wanted it to, facing Jared Wright and wound up getting a count to 3-2 and then got the old veteran call against me on a 3-2 fastball in. All you could do is tip your hat. I had my pitch. I missed it. I fouled it straight back. And because I was like, it was one of those swings where it's like, oof, I put barrel on it. And I knew had I hit that would have been a home run. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely got to be up there as well. But, obviously winning a World Series is going to be one of the tops.
That's awesome. All right, I got one more question here that I think your perspective will be interesting on. Somebody was asking, kind of perspective on grip, right? So going back to hitting now, like, what were, how did you grip a bat? What are your thoughts on grip when we talk about hands?
Yeah, so my hitting coach and I had this saying where we used to say less is more, right? So baseball is really a game of opposites. So it's like the more loose, the more relaxed you are, the quicker your swing will be. The more tense, the more harder, the tighter the grip, the slower you're actually going to be. So I remember my old high school summer ball coach telling me one time, he's like, "Right, you look so relaxed up there with your hands and everything. It looks like the bat is just going to fall out of your hands because of how loose your grip is." So to me, you want to have a nice, loose, relaxed grip so that you can just feel good, and then your adrenaline and everything else will take over, but you don't want to be choking the bat to death at all like that. You want to be loose, calm, relaxed, and then just be poised up there for some devastation to take place against those pitchers.
That's good advice, man. All right, I'm gonna break us down the home stretch here. I
Yes,
want to
sir.
ask one kind of MLB question, then we'll go rapid fire on a couple of your favorite things. But you got an awesome perspective, right? And as a player, you've stayed around the game now since retiring in a bunch of different ways. In fact, last time you and I got together, you'd just gotten back from Phillies camp right before all the shutdown started. So, game's on hold now, right? But put yourself back in your playing days shoes. Like, how when it comes back, how's it going to feel? Like, how are guys feeling right now? Like, is there an antsy kind of urgency? Like, what just kind of put us in the shoes of what this is going to be like, or what you'd be feeling like coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that sense of antsiness. Like I was saying before, you got to keep your body. You got to trick your body into thinking it's not the off season by continuing to work, continuing to train. I would say more so for pitchers, it's a lot easier. I would say it's easier for pitchers to do that as opposed to hitters. Short of potentially, for pitchers facing hitters, like some places, they may be able to go out there and throw to throw to hitters or whatnot, because you can get your running in, you can get your pitch count up if that's what you're trying to do. Hitters, it's a little bit tougher, trying to go and face some live pitching, and really try to replicate, you know, game speed and game like movements. So it's tougher, I think, for the position players to really try to stay in that mode, to where, because your body like hits that zone to where it knows what it's supposed to be doing and when it's supposed to be doing it, because you hit those zones where, hey, your body gets geared up at 7 o'clock every night to get out there and go play, for 3 hours, 3.5 hours. If you're the Yankees and the Red Sox, you're playing well into the next day. But it's just one of those things to where, yeah, guys are anxious. They want to get back out there, but you also want to make sure that everybody's safe at the same time. So, yeah, they're ready and reeling. I know everybody is ready. I'm ready to start watching some baseball again. So hopefully we can get this thing under control and get some baseball going.
Me too, man. Me too. And I'm sure appreciate all the positive comments here along the way, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching this that want to see baseball coming back here pretty soon too. So I'm gonna wind this down here, wrap this up. A little bit of rapid fire. What was your favorite ballpark to hit in?
Favorite ballpark. I mean, it's really tough to try to pick. I would probably say, I would say a tie between, there's three, I would say probably St. Louis, and Atlanta, and New York, Citi Field.
Nice. What MLB town had the best food?
Oh, man. LA, New York. I mean, it depends on what you're in the mood for. I'll go with New York. All
right. And the last one, so other than baseball, favorite sport?
Other than baseball, favorite sport was basketball.
Basketball.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I really, really appreciate your time. It's just been awesome chatting. I feel like I could do this for another hour or two, but I know you got 3 little girls that you got to go help take care of. So, listen, man, I couldn't appreciate it more. We love having you as a friend and partner at DK. Oh, look at that! I got a video.
There he is, pop in. I love it. That's why they call it. That's why they call it live, man.
Rocking the
That's
DK gear.
Live.
So listen, man, thanks so much. We really appreciate everybody who tuned in, and questions in the comments were awesome. And stay safe, and we'll be talking soon, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. See, anytime, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.